Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This video today is getting back to the basics and going over what is a covered call. You can see here I do covered calls here over on the right hand side of my Robinhood account. Got a bunch of calls on stocks that I own and puts on stocks that I don't. So by selling calls and puts, you can make a good side income just by stocks that you either own or that you don't even own. And if you make dividends on some stocks that you own, you can boost those dividends and make extra money by selling covered calls. And it's kind of like being a stock market landlord where you're renting out your stock and collecting a fee. And most of the time, if you have the probability on your side, which I'll show you in this video how to do, then you can keep your shares and keep the premium and rarely have the stock called away from you. So but if it does, if the stock gets called away from you by selling a call, then you get the money and you can go buy some more shares of another stock and do the whole process all over again. So let's get into the basics of what is a covered call. All right, so first off, when you sell a covered call, you have to own 100 shares of the underlying stock. So one contract equals 100 shares. And when you trade a contract, you're trading 100 shares of the stock. The 100 shares that you own covers or acts as collateral for the contract. You don't want to do naked calls. Naked calls is when you sell a call without owning 100 shares, and that puts you at high risk if the price goes against you. So don't ever do that unless you really know what you're doing and you got some advanced knowledge of how this works. Selling covered calls can be used to generate income on a stock that you already own. Again, it's like being a stock market landlord. You can kind of rent out your stock for a fee, stock that you already own. And if you own dividends on it, you're making money that way. But you can earn extra income on the side by selling covered calls. This strategy is good for use in a neutral or slightly bullish environment. And a call option gives the buyer of the call the right, but not the obligation, to buy 100 shares of the stock at a given price on or before a given expiration date that you, as the seller and the option buyer, agree on. So the buyer pays the premium for that right. And as the seller, you collect the premium, but then you're obligated to sell the shares if the price goes in the buyer's favor. So if the price does move in the buyer's favor, they will exercise that right, and the seller is obligated to sell those 100 shares. The buyer of a covered call, they want the price to be above the strike price at expiration. If it is above the strike price at expiration, or even before that, they can exercise their right to buy it. They can buy it from you for less than the market value, and they can go sell it for more, or they can just hold on to it and already be in a positive situation. Now, as the seller, we want the price to be below the strike price. If it falls below at expiration, the option expires worthless, and we keep the premium and we keep the shares. As the seller, we never want to sell our shares for less than the average cost to acquire those shares. This way, we never lose money. We may lose out on the appreciation if the stock soars. We'd be forced to sell at a price less than market, but we would still never lose out on the average cost to acquire those shares. Let's look at some examples. So in my Robinhood, down here on the right-hand side, if I look at the stocks that I own, I've got 102 shares of O, and I've got 200 shares of AI. Let's look at AI. Since I own 200 shares, that means I could do 2 contracts of this. And let's look at the premium that I could get. So my average cost to acquire these is $29 per share. So I don't want to sell these for less than the average cost. Luckily, the price right now is like $28.85. So if I go here to trade AI options on this stock, I go sell, call, and then you want to pick an expiration date. I typically like to go out a week or maybe even 2 weeks. So let's just pick March 8th, which is 11 days away. So my average cost was $29. If I sold this at $29, I could collect $2.51 per share, or $251. And since I have 2 contracts, if I wanted to sell 2 contracts, I could double that. But this is like pretty close to being in the money, so there's a high chance that my shares would get called away. Now, if I didn't care that my shares got called away and purchased, then I'd be okay with that. But if I want to keep the shares, then I can go up and select a higher price for someone to buy this option from me. So if I did $32 per share, I could collect $147. Again, with two contracts, I could double that. And I'm looking at like the delta here. The delta is the average price movement for every dollar the price of the stock moves. The delta is the amount of that the option price will change. And you can think of delta as the probability that it's going to be in your favor. So like if I go up here to a delta of, let's say, 30, that means I've got a 30% chance that this will end up in the money and the shares will get called away. So I've got a 70% chance that I'd be technically winning this trade where I wouldn't have to give up my shares and I could collect the premium. And so as you go up in price, the premium gets less and less because it's less likely that the price movement is going to go from $28 to $35. I typically like to choose a delta between 20 and 25. I'll go as high as 30, but to be safe, and if I want to keep the shares, I'll keep it below 25. So this would be a good price. 24.64 is the delta here. So if I select this, I could hit continue and I could do 2 contracts. I've already got some covered calls going, so I can't make this trade, but that's pretty much how it would work. Also, if you select, let's deselect this. If you select a date that's farther out, then the premiums will also be higher because the stock has more of a chance to go in the buyer's favor, so they'd be willing to pay more of a premium for that. So let's go back to March 8th. Let's say $30 is 207. Let's go to March 15th. $30 is 233, so it's a little bit more. Let's go out to March 22nd. $30 is 254. So the premium does go higher the farther you go out because it's got more time to go in the buyer's favor, and they'd be willing to pay more of a premium for that. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button because I've always got more videos coming out about selling options. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. So there's two ways you can acquire the shares. You can just buy the shares outright and get 100 shares like this O stock here, the Realty Income. I've gone ahead and purchased these because I want to own this company and I want to build up and be able to sell covered calls against it. So I purchased these at average cost of $54 per share, and I've got 102 shares on this. And you can see here that I've got a call option since I own the 100 shares, and I was paid, it's going to expire $4.19, and I've got an average credit here of 70 cents per share. So I made $70 on this. If I go back to, I've got 200 shares of AI going now, so I've got a covered call here at 29 for AI, and I've collected $99 for that, and another one here for AI, I've collected $266 for that. And these are both going to expire at 3/1. If I hold on to the shares for one of them, they're both going to expire at the same time. I'm probably going to just consolidate this and do my next trade at 2 contracts per share. I'll do my next trade at 2 contracts for one trade instead of doing 2 trades with 100 shares each. Now, if you don't want to just buy the shares outright, one thing you can do is look for a stock that you might want to own, and you can do a cash secured put against that. So let's say I'm looking at here at some stock like this Advanced Auto Parts. If I look at this, I can look this up. I can do some research, and you can do a cash secured put. So you can kind of get maybe this at a discount. So it's trading at $60.16 right now. If I wanted to trade AAP options, I can do sell put. I can go out, choose an expiration 11 days away, and instead of $60.16, I could say, I want to pay $57 for these, and I'll get a premium of $3.90 or $390 for this, and I could get that currently at a discount. If the price goes down below this, then the exercise will be optioned. If the price goes down below this strike price of 57, then that option will be exercised, and I'll be forced to buy the shares. But that might be what I want. Now, if you don't want to wait, then you can just go ahead and buy the shares outright. If I want to do this today, it would cost me $60.16 roughly to acquire those shares, and then I could go sell a call against those and pick a delta between 20 and 30 and collect that premium. So it's called a wheel strategy. When you're if you don't own the shares, you can do a cash secured put, and then you can acquire the shares. Sometimes you acquire them, sometimes you don't. Either way, you collect a premium. So if the price didn't go down to my strike price to do a put, then I would just do it again. Eventually, I'd be assigned, and then I could do covered calls against that. And it's just a wheel strategy. You can just do it over and over again. And you can kind of control your risk, which is what I really like. So if I'm selling a call on this, the risk is, pretty much the delta. So if I wanted to go way out, I'll collect less premium. But if I wanted to go here, a delta of 14, roughly 15, let's say, that means I've got an 85% chance of winning this trade. If I did have 100 shares of this stock, then I've got an 80% chance that I would hold on to those 100 shares, and I would collect a $76 premium for that. So that's the basics about covered calls. I know there's a lot more to it, a lot of nuances, but the basics, if you want to get started right away, you can just use this strategy and buy 100 shares and start doing covered calls and pretty much rent out your stock for a fee. And if your shares aren't called away, then you get the premium. If they are called away, then you get the premium and you get the money for your shares. And you can go buy the shares again or buy some other shares and just do it all over again. And I really like this. If I look at my spreadsheet here where I'm tracking, I've got all of these covered calls, cash secured puts this month, just on a $20,000 account, and I've collected $928 here in premium so far this month. I know my account says it's $30,000, but I own some shares here, so about 10,000 of that is tied up in owning these other shares outright. So I'm working with about $20,000, making $1,000 a month. Now, if I scale this up, if I had $100,000 that I could 5x this, so I'd make like almost $5,000 this month. That's a good month. This won't happen to me every month. With about a $20,000 account, I estimate about $300 to $500 per month in just extra income that I could get. So that's the basics of covered calls, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the like button so I can help other people find this channel and learn how to do covered calls, cash secured puts, and the wheel strategy. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.